amazing viewers, and welcome back to Get Educated with DylanMarie. Guess what? We did it! We did it! We made it to our 5th Misrepresented Woman. We did it! We did it! Yeah! And what a journey it has been. From Queen Elizabeth to Pocahontas, Catherine the Great, and Sacagawea, together we have lifted the veil on these misconstrued stories. In our segment of A Misrepresented Truth, 5 Women Who Defined History. Now, with no further ado, let me present our 5th Misrepresented Woman and my personal hero, Harriet Tubman. Now, like most, I first learned about Harriet Tubman in grade school, and as we've discovered, like most history, I was only given the basics.
Ya basic.
Ya basic.
Ya basic. That being, Harriet Tubman, a woman born into slavery, escaped by following the North Star, and soon thereafter became a major conductor in the Underground Railroad, a network of safe houses who helped free Black men, women, and children from the bondages and tyranny of slavery. But that was about it. What we know about her is epic and awesome and amazing, but I felt like there might be more to her story. And it turns out her legacy and accomplishments reached farther than I ever could have imagined. And any thought that I had around her journey ending with the Underground Railroad was absolutely false. In fact, she did so many incredible things that we have to split her story into 2 videos.
Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land.
Let's start at the beginning
Tell old Pharaoh
to make sure we have all of the facts.
to let my people go.
To start off, Harriet Tubman wasn't actually her given name. It was Araminta Ross, nickname Minty, born into slavery on a plantation in Dorchester County, Maryland. Now, children born into slavery never had their births recorded, so she never knew the exact year, day, month, anything about her birth. But it's estimated to be between the years of 1820 and 1822. By the time she was 5 years old, Minty began getting lent out to neighboring plantations. The first time was to a cruel woman who gave Minty the job of making sure that her infant child didn't cry. And when the baby did fuss, Minty was severely beaten for it. It didn't work out, and she was eventually sent back and began working in the fields with her brothers. A bit later, around the age of 12, she was sent to another plantation to work, and it was here where we see her first major act of defiance against slavery and just a glimpse of how brave she really was. As the story goes, a young male slave had escaped and been tracked down by an overseer in a local store. Minty just happened to be there. The overseer ordered Minty to hold the man so that he could beat him. But our young, feisty abolitionist refused and instead stood between them. The overseer picked up a 2-pound weight and chucked it across the room, but he missed. The throw fell short and hit Minty square in the head, knocking her unconscious and cracking her skull.
Crack my skull right open.
It sent her into a coma.
They say I slept most 2 months.
Although she survived this traumatic brain injury, the long-term side effects caused migraines, seizures, and fainting spells, which would last for the rest of her life. However, it was these spells that were rumored to have given her the visions which helped guide her and the others to freedom. Who knew getting hit in the head would help form the course of history? Time went on, and in 1844, Harriet married her first husband, John Tubman. It was then that she chose her new name, Harriet, after her mother, Tubman, her married name. John was born a free man, but being married to him did not change the status of her freedom. Having been born a slave, she still technically belonged to the owner of the plantation. the quote-unquote master, had written in his will that after his death, Minty and her family were to go free. However, this was not upheld to, and shortly after his death, word got out that Minty and some of her brothers were going to be sold south, and that was one of the worst things that could ever happen. Minty had already witnessed two of her sisters being taken to the south and knew that it was a one-way trip. If she did not run now, she would die. Now, it was safest to run on Saturday nights.
Why is that, Dudley?
Because there's no post on Sundays.
Right you are, Harry.
And no post on Sundays meant no wanted posters either, which meant leaving on a Saturday gave them a much higher chance of success. As she prepared to run, she wanted to make sure her family knew that she fled for her freedom and not been taken in the middle of the night by slavers, which often happened. But Minty did not know how to read or write, so leaving a note was out of the question. Instead, she let them know through song.
When that Pharaoh chariot comes, I'm gonna leave you.
One person they say she didn't say goodbye to was her husband. Although John was a free man, he told Minty if she ever tried to run, that he would turn her in. What an asshole. She did, however, convince her brothers to try to go with her, but fearing failure, they turned back. Minty then decided to take off on her own. With the help of a Quaker woman and other conductors of the Underground Railroad, she started on her over 90-mile journey to Philadelphia. Now, this was an extremely dangerous journey to take in the first place, but traveling by day was pretty much suicide, so the only option was to travel at night. That meant, during the day, she hid in root cellars, potato holes, and other creative places along the Underground Railroad. And by night, she tromped her way through the wilderness, following the light of the North Star. In 1849, after weeks of travel, she made it to Philadelphia. She was free. After reaching her freedom, Harriet quickly got a job, and for the first time in her entire life, she was earning wages for her work. But something still just felt wrong. She realized she could never truly feel free, while her parents and family were still slaves in Maryland. So when word came that members of her family were going to be sold, without hesitation, she packed her bag and headed back to Maryland.
If I'm free, they should be too. I made up my mind, I'm going back.
Now, the journey to Philadelphia was dangerous. This one would be even more so. It's not like she could just walk right into the plantation and grab the others. And there was a bounty on her head. She needed to somehow give them a heads up that she was there to rescue them. So, as she did when she fled for her freedom, she used the power of song.
Tell old Pharaoh to let my people go.
Over the next few years, she led her siblings, their children, and many others through the Underground Railroad and out of slavery. But by the time she was finally able to get her parents in 1857, the journey had become tougher.
Our work has gotten a lot more dangerous.
Thanks to the U.S. Congress passing the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. This act was supposed to ease the tension between the northern and southern states, but instead, it made things way worse and caused a widespread panic among freed and enslaved people alike. This act forcibly compelled citizens to capture runaways, at the same time discouraging others from doing the same. Now, even if they made it north, as long as they were in the United States of America, they could be captured and sent back. Pennsylvania was no longer a safe place for Harriet or any of the people she had led to freedom. They had to go further north, and Canada, having abolished slavery in 1834, was the safest place. This increased her travel time back and forth from Maryland from around 90 miles each way to over 500. She never took the same route twice, and she usually planned her trips during the winter and fall months when the nights lasted the longest. There's no exact record of how many times she went back and forth, but it is estimated she took this journey around 19 times, 11 of which were back and forth from Canada.
What are you doing in Canada?
What are you doing in Canada?
Now, cool fact, while traveling, Harriet was always armed with her single-shot pistol, not only for her own protection, but it was also there to give a little helping nudge to anyone who had second thoughts about running away.
Now you be free or die.
Luckily for that, she never had to pull the trigger. Harriet served as a conductor for the Underground Railroad for the next 10 years, during which she saved over 70 people from slavery. She never ran her train off the track, and she never lost a passenger. And just like those Bible stories of the pharaohs of old, Harriet continued to help free hundreds of men, women, and children. And so they called her Moses.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you a most extraordinary woman, Mrs. Harriet Tubman.
But as I said, her story doesn't end here. For the next 50 years, she continued to fight for freedom and equality. She did so as a nurse, a spy, a general, and so much more.
I'm gonna be free or die.
Ah, there's that bell. But don't worry, the next video, part 2 of our part 5, will be posted very soon. This is so exciting! I'm so excited! Make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you know the second the next video is posted. And if anybody wants to read ahead, your teacher's pet. My favorite resources are posted below.
Honestly, don't you two read?
While you're there, drop me a comment. Let me know how the videos are going and anything more that you'd like to learn and get educated. This is DylanMarie signing out. Stay educated, everyone.
Running, bleeding, climbing, nearly drowned, nothing to eat for days and days, man. I made it. So don't you tell me.